Okay, we need to have a conversation. Elite needs to be stopped. Hey guys, what's up? It's Imurgency and welcome back to my channel. Today we are back with another video, and today we're talking about Elite. Elite Season 6 to be specific, because this season saw some of the most changes that we've seen in all of Elite, and it's making me sort of feel like maybe it's time that we wrap things up. Maybe it's time that Elite ends, or that Elite needs to be stopped, if you will. And we're gonna talk about why I feel this way, talk about season 6 as a whole, break down some characters, and then address the ending of the season, which I feel like was the icing on the cake for why this show needs to be stopped. Because what was the ending? If you've seen Elite Season 6, what was that ending? But before we do any of that, if you haven't already, make sure to hit that subscribe button, because we post all things TV, pop culture, commentary, and fashion on this channel. So you're not gonna wanna miss that, so hit that subscribe button. Also follow me on all my social medias here at Imurgency. That's Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter. Instagram, we're getting close to 10,000 followers, so go check that out. I've been posting an outfit every single day. So if you want some outfit inspo or just good vibes, follow me over there. And make sure to leave a like on this video, because that helps out so much with the algorithm like you don't understand. So I'll give you a second to like this video right now. Cool. Let's talk about Elite. So Elite has gradually become more and more of a mess as each season comes out. If you're new around here, we've been talking about Elite on this channel since I believe season 4. And progressively with each season, things have gotten more and more questionable. I had a little bit more hope for season 5, because season 5, in my opinion, was better than season 4, which was absolutely not great. And I was really excited to see how things were going to go in season 6, because they kind of left us off with the cliffhanger with Samuel getting kind of clocked by the dad of the Terror Triplets. And yes, for the sake of this video, I'm calling Mencia, Patrick, and Ari the Terror Triplets, because that is exactly what they are and what they bring on everyone in the cast. But, you know, father of the Terror Triplets kind of took out Samuel, and we are going to see this season if he lives or if he does not. And spoiler alert, we find out that he does not. And not only is Samuel no longer in the show, even though he was here since season 1, no one else from the original cast, or at least the notable ones from before season 4, are in the show anymore. Like, all of the original cast is gone, and it's just like the new people, that they introduced from like season 4 onwards, mostly season 5, and the story now revolves around the Terror Triplets. And I don't know how I feel about that, because it feels like a completely different show. Like a completely different show now than Elite was a couple of seasons ago. And normally that might be a good thing, but in this case, I don't know. I have to say that this season overall was kind of a mess, at least in my opinion. And I honestly believe that it needs to come to an end soon. Like very soon, like next season soon. Because at this point, we've lost the plot. We've really lost the plot. This season focuses on like making us care and get to know more about all of these new characters. The plots are inconsistent. What can I say? They all feel like relationships that we've seen before, but not, you know? Like Raul and Sarah are like a different version of like Carla and Polo, but to like a completely different extreme. Or even like Polo and Cayetana. Nico and Ari are a clear parallel between Ari and Samuel. But the thing about it is that these are all new characters, and these aren't like the OGs, which make the show feel very, I don't know. Like it just feels like an Elite spinoff as opposed to Elite, the main show. And I fear that with more and more seasons of this, it's going to become more and more like Riverdale, in the sense that it just doesn't make sense anymore. And the content is just like no longer as good. Like I know like they're going the whole soap opera route of like having many seasons of just things getting more and more dramatic for some reason. I just think that the show needs to come to an end. I was really looking forward to seeing like at least some of the people from the OG class that didn't graduate the first time finally graduate, but we're just not going to get that. And I don't know if we're ever gonna get like a formal like Elite graduation, at least in that way. But enough about the rant, let's actually talk about what happened so far this season. So like I said before, season 6 takes place after the events of season 5. It's a brand new school year, and the Terror Triplets' dad has been locked up and is currently awaiting trial for the attempted murder, or I guess the murder of Samuel, and the kids are forced to go back to school. And when the three of them come back to school, they're greeted with an entirely new cast, because all of the people associated with Samuel fled, or gone, or graduated, or for some reason are no longer at that school. So we have an entirely new cast of fresh faces. I think the only two that are returning that were like prominent characters are Isadora and Bilal. Well, I'm glad this season got more character development and just more of a character overall, because it felt like in season 5 that he's kind of just like introduced by Omar, and that was pretty much it. But now we get to see him be more of a prominent part of the cast, which I honestly am very happy to see. And one of the major plot points of the season is just a continuation of all the side character stories that went down in season 5. So namely the big one with Isadora and her SA, censoring it to SA because of demonetization. And the fact that her abusers were actually found innocent and now go to school with her and are being very much so vocal and nasty and even worse about it. So we get that plot line that gets very problematic many different times this season. And then we have a plot line between two new characters, Raul and Sarah, who are an influencer couple that seems like they really love each other and have everything great, but behind the scenes, it's actually an abusive relationship. And then the third main plot line is between Patrick and Yvonne and Yvonne's dad, because Patrick and Yvonne end up getting together officially, and that inspires Yvonne's dad to actually come out and finally live in his truth and no longer just be a futbolista. Oh my god, that line from last season.
No soy gay. Ni bi, ni tri. Soy futbolista.
Girl, I wish that's how it worked. I'd be a soccer player too.
Yvonne's dad being like, no soy bi, ni tri, soy futbolista. Still takes me out to this day. Sorry. But yes, we get that storyline, and each of these storylines seems to fit one of the Terra triplets perfectly, or at least semi-perfectly. Like Ari is with Isadora, Mencia is with the influencer couple, and then Patrick, of course, is in his own relationship. And of course, there are other side plots with Bilal and Rocio. It might have say this is the first time since like season 4 or 3 since we're seeing two characters that are darker than a paper bag on Elite. And honestly, I'm here for it. I think the last one was that one guy who was trying to get with Nadia, and then he just like went to college after that season, I think. But yeah, we've been in a drought, and it's been really nice to actually see that representation back on Elite. It's just a shame that it has to be back on a season that was not the best. But let's run through the characters really quick, because I have some thoughts on each and every one of them. Let's start off with Miss Girl herself, Ari. Ari this season, I'll say it, I know that the girl is grieving that her boyfriend had unalived. But for one, she definitely had a role in the unalivable. But if we think back, there are definitely a couple of points where Ari could have done some things differently, or even reacted differently after the events that transpired that led to Samuel's unalivable, where he could have survived. So for one, you have some fault there. And two, Ari this season was just a menace. Like anytime she could be a menace, she was a menace. Like there's just something about the way that you enter the season being transphobic, and then going ahead and getting into a pseudo relationship with a trans man, only to use him to get over your unalived ex that you got a part in. Like that is just so sinister and so twisted, and that's not even... You think that would be enough. But then she goes ahead and hooks up with her brother's boyfriend and then gets pregnant. Gets pregnant from said brother's boyfriend. Like, girl, what are you doing? What are you doing? What happened to minding your own business? And meanwhile, homegirl is fighting an alcohol problem. Like, there is so much going on with Ari where I'm just like, wow, girl, relax. Just take a minute to stay away from people. Go on a retreat, get away for a little bit, clear your head, because clearly you are not thinking straight or making the best or even worse decisions for yourself. You are making something in a whole new tier below that. Like, I was really struggling to find redeeming qualities in Arya this season. Just because she was on a continuous and rapid downward spiral, it was really hard to root for her. You know, last season I didn't really care for her much, and this season I can't say that things have changed too much. Like Ari, I have nothing positive to say, I'm sorry. But one character I do have some positive things to say and had a change of heart about was Mencia. Last season I was not the biggest fan of Mencia. I had empathy for her situation that she was going through and getting out of, but I just really didn't like the way that she was treating Rebe. But this season I feel like she kind of had her redemption arc. Like she definitely shown growth from her prior season. She seems more mature, and the fact that she's just trying so hard to save Sarah, even though the motivations for that might be a little conflicted, and at certain points she might be pushing a little hard, but it's all coming from a good place where she's like been in a situation like this before, and she's just really just trying to help someone out. Like I really just respected and liked Mencia's character for that. She was just a really supportive and caring character this season, which made some of the things that happened towards the end of the season with her being set up by Sarah so much worse, because the one time that Mencia is actually healthy and trying to do good for people, she gets set up and framed to do something and feel terrible about it. But Mencia was my girl this season. She was. She really was. And then we have Patrick. Patrick. This man was finally starting to be healthy. He was finally starting to heal. And then things took a turn for the worse when Yvonne's dad was unalived. And honestly, I can't judge Yvonne because everyone grieves differently. But it was just soul shattering to see the way that Yvonne blamed his dad's unalival on Patrick when that wasn't really fair at all. And that really broke him. That really broke him. Like at the beginning of the season, you were seeing such a healthy version of Patrick after seeing him be so toxic and so, I'll just say it, awful. So awful to people for the past couple of seasons. And finally seeing him grow out of that just to see him get thrown right back in was just so sad. And you could see how much he really does love Yvonne to the point where he assumed many different roles in Yvonne's grieving process and started smothering him a little bit. But just how things played out and seeing the emotion of when Yvonne gets hit by that car and how distraught and torn up Patrick is, like, you just see this man who is finally in love, finally has a love of his own, and just constantly have that be played with by Yvonne or by circumstances. Like, it's honestly tragic, and I feel really bad for Patrick. Although I will say he was really sick for that one scene where they were going to that like group hookup, and he saw that Yvonne was gonna be there, and he showed up anyway. Like, that was, yeah, that was very sinister of Patrick. But one thing I will say, Patrick's outfits this season,
Queen skinny legend Versace.
yeah, definitely had some outfit inspo in this season coming from Patrick. Like, yeah, did that. Sure did that. Now, while I had mixed emotions for each one of the Terror triplets individually, I will say that as a whole, they are responsible for driving the entire plot this season. Like, their involvement as a whole is what has caused so many people so much trauma. Outside of Isadora's situation, everything else was them. Everything else was them. And honestly, I'm so happy that they're leaving town because they needed to a while ago. Imagine if they never came to Las Encinas. Like, so many things would be different. So many people would be happier and alive. Like, yeah, just problematic people. But now let's talk about Isadora. Because Isadora this season, I am an Isadora stan. Last season I was kind of iffy because she's coming from my girl Cayetana and she was supporting Philippe. But now this season we get to see like actually what's going on with her. We get to see her loneliness. We get to see how her parents do not really support or care for her. Even in her worst moments are just trying to solve solutions as opposed to actually be there for her and actually treat her like a daughter as opposed to like a pet. And then we get to see her deal with the fact that like her abusers are out on the loose and are making it a point to ruin her life even further. And honestly, her ways of getting revenge were so sick and twisted, but in the best ways possible. Like, they were so satisfying. And seeing her finally get justice and getting revenge on her abusers was so good to see and so satisfying. Although I will say that there was a lot of SA apologists in this season, which I guess is like realistic to what happens in real life, but still, like, I was giving a lot of people side eye. One of those people in particular was Didac, just because he just came on the scene with some really weird energy, like with some really weird vibes, and one of his best friends were one of the people that did that to Isadora. But gradually as the season goes on, we get to see that Didac is actually there for Isadora, and I actually really like their relationship. I like seeing how they just developed as people and as a potential couple, especially at the end of the season when we kind of get that confirmed. I just thought they were really cute and I really like their dynamic together. Jumping around though, Bilal and Rocio. What was going on there? It just kind of seemed like they were put there just to start a diaspora war. That part, I will say, felt a lot like Elite seasons 1 through 4. When it came to Nadia and Omar, that energy of like cultural differences amongst minorities, like that was very reminiscent of early Elite, which I appreciated. But at the same time, you are the only 2 black people in this school. Like, please have some solidarity, because Bilal was getting hate crimed. He was getting called out left and right in this season, especially at the soccer game. Yeah, like, we need some solidarity. And I was kind of confused. Let me know in the comments, like, were Rocio and Bilal actually starting to warm up to each other, or was Bilal just using her as a way to get like free stuff, like being a gold digger type beat? Like, that part kind of went over my head when Didac and Bilal were talking about that. Like, I was confused on how Bilal actually felt. But yeah, let me know. And I feel like I can't talk about the ending without talking about Sarah and Raul. Raul, it's fuck Raul. Like, I don't know what to say. Like, Raul is an awful, evil individual. Gives me very much a mix of Polo and Philippe times 10. Just terrible people that need to be stopped. And the way that he's so manipulative of Sarah, even though Mencia was trying her hardest to get her out of his clutches. Awful, but also real. Very real. Like, these are real situations that happen to people in real situations that people get into and unfortunately fall victim to. So it's just really sad to see how things ended this season, with Sarah ended up going back with Raul even after all of that, and Mencia is sort of getting put on blame and forced to leave that area, which puts Sarah back under Raul's complete control. But since we keep talking about it, let's finally address the ending. Because what was that ending? Right? We got confirmation that Yvonne is alive. Cool. Amazing. We get confirmation that Mencia was set up. Okay. Cool. We get confirmation that Isadora and Doc are going to be a thing. Amazing. But that last scene, the school pew pew scene, like I was gagged. I was fully gagged. I was not expecting that when I saw the car roll up to have them just start shooting. Like, who are they shooting at? What is the situation here? Is it from Isadora's camp trying to take out Didak's brother? Is it just some random third party just trying to get everybody? Like, what is the situation here? I don't know. Or is it, maybe, this is headcanon. Is it Samuel's brother getting revenge on the school? I don't know. I was just so shocked and I was like, wow, we're really going here? This is how we're ending the season. This is how we're opening up season 7. Like, yeah, Elite needs to be stopped. Shut this down now. Immediately. But yeah, I have no clue where next season is going to go. I honestly hope that they wrap it up with next season because the way that things are going, it just seems like we're gonna get an entirely new cast again next season, and I don't know if I care. This season, I was talking to people in my community Discord, join that if you haven't already. Like, people were asking if I was gonna watch the season. I was like, I don't know if I care. Like, no one that I've built up an established emotional connection with over like a span of like multiple seasons is going to be on this show anymore. Like, I don't know if I care. And I have to say, if they continue on this route, I do not know if I'm going to continue to care. Like, I don't know if I'll continue watching. Like, it's giving the Riverdale effect. It's giving the Walking Dead effect of just having too many seasons of too many things going on for too long. Like, wrap it up. Love the cast. Love the cast down. Love Manu Rios down. But wrap it up. Respectfully. But yeah, those are my thoughts on Elite Season 6. Let me know what you think down in the comments down below. Do you think that this show needs to keep going on? Are you still enjoying it at this point? Are you even still watching it at this point? Or are you just here to get the tea from me? Let me know everything down in the comments below. I'd love to hear your thoughts. But thank you so much for watching this video. Again, if you're new, hit that subscribe button and leave a like on this video because both those things help out so very much. You can catch me on my social medias here at Imurgency on Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter. But other than that, I've been Imurgency and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.